Hello, everybody. I'm Dana Brooks of Facing Brooks Law Offices, and you are watching another episode of the EmPower Plant brought to you by, or the EmPower Hour brought to you by the EmPower Plant. That's a big mouthful. I'm going to get that better. I've only been doing this, 4 months now? So welcome back. I'm Dana Brooks, and I have my law partners here today. Again, I've got Kimmy Hogan. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I've got Carrie Roan, who just popped out of a deposition to be here, so she's on fire. She'll have a lot to say. Welcome,
Hey.
Carrie.
Hey.
We've got Lori Finn, our marketing director, and I have spent the last 7 hours in a Zoom meeting with her, so I know what she's been doing. So I know you just wanted one more hour of Zoom, so I provided that for you. Elizabeth Hughes, she is a college student, and she has been working with us for about 2 years now. And so we are always looking for her perspective and her unique developmental phase. We're all in different ones, so everybody's got something to contribute. But today I'm super excited because I've been trying to get this woman on, and she's very busy, like so many of us are. Barbara Wescott. And Barbara, welcome, first of all. And I know you from back when you were doing stuff at Doma, or Domi, whatever.
Domi
I always get the
Station.
names wrong.
Right.
And now you do the Women Wednesdays. So tell us about yourself. Welcome, and tell everybody what you do, because you're one empowering woman.
Well, I'm trying. So,
Every
I'm
day.
Barbara Wescott, and I'm the founder of something called Women Wednesday. So just like you all love the hard work you're doing to empower women, I'm trying to do the same thing. And I come from it as an entrepreneur myself. I'm a startup entrepreneur, as you mentioned, out of Domi Station. And I started a company called Swellcoin, where we did a shop tally initiative to make it pay to shop local. And I think it's an incredible idea and a neat, platform that we developed. But I have to tell you, there were some challenges.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons I started Women Wednesdays is try to address those challenges. But I have to say, with what you all are doing and what everybody in this community is doing, I think those challenges are evaporating by the day.
We've got a fast movement here. There's so many people
Yeah.
behind it. There's such a groundswell, because things started up, years ago. There's always been, some rising and then kind of go back to normal. I don't feel like that's going to happen here.
I don't think so. That's why I was thinking, talking about challenges. I'm just thinking, well, they're just evaporating. So,
Good.
we can talk about them because
Yeah.
they do exist, but there's so many more opportunities, actually.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to drill down a little bit more on what you're doing there, a little bit more about your background. I want to talk about how you're promoting your business and the people who come to you, because your social media game is strong. Everybody knows you. You're getting other people's names and their business and their word out. So I just love everything about it. I know I'm going to learn a lot from you today. But first things first. Rose is not with us today. Rose Caswick typically brings us a cocktail in honor of an empowering or empowered woman. And she couldn't be here today because she's got a work commitment. So when left to my own devices, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not fancy.
I made a nice little drink too.
There you go. It's not
drink
fancy. It's Kim Crawford. I'm sure she's empowered.
Right.
With the money that woman is making off Sauvignon Blanc, there's no way she doesn't feel empowered. So I feel like I've contributed. And I know all of my law partners have as well. So yay for us. But I do want to take a special note, because we do make a little joke about our cocktails every week. But like Jane Marks mentioned one time, she goes, watch that drinking, ladies. If you've looked at the statistics on women's drinking since COVID, it is through the roof. So we have to watch that. But, women have got more on them. They left the job market in record numbers. They are taking care of parents, spouses, children. Now they're teachers, so, you can see where it could get out of hand. But do watch that if you find yourself drinking more and struggling with it, because it can get away from you soon. And if you ever do have an issue like that and want to get some help, email us, text us. I've got lots of resources. A lot of people have already been on this program. So I don't mean
And I would say,
light of
can
it.
I add to that, to not have shame about it?
No shame.
That, it's just, alcohol is an addictive substance, and sometimes it gets a little much, and you got to back it off. So
and you
don't
get
have
that
shame.
habit built in. For me, that was my problem, was the habit of you come home in there and it's just so easy to do. So that's my 2 cents.
It's like taking your clothes off and putting in a comfortable outfit, pour a glass of wine, next thing you know, it's 2. It's just, it can get away from you. It really can. But there's a lot of help for it. But I remind people of this: there's nothing gendered about wanting to relieve stress. You see more women drinking because you see more women ascending to positions of authority and decision making and having a lot more pressure on them in addition to the stuff they were already doing. And so there's nothing gendered about wanting to relieve stress. That's going to happen.
Look back at the 1950s when Ward Cleaver came home to Beeve and his brother, and she would always serve him a highball or whatever it was, drinking every day when he got home from work. It's normal for men.
Yeah. No, my fantasy, I wanted to be bewitched when I grew up. Only if that man told me I could not use my powers to clean that house, I would turn him into a toad. I said, why do I have these powers? Remember how he always wanted her to do everything and never use her powers? I'm like,
yeah.
What is that?
What is that?
So I would have had a come to Jesus with him on that. But that woman greeted him at the door with kids who were polished and put away and acting right, and no dogs do anything crazy. She was dressed and cleaned up, hair coiffed, and she had a martini. Come on in, have a cocktail, relax. I mean, that was just, that was a totally different lifestyle. But yeah, it's just that now women enjoy or burden with a lot of those same responsibilities. And when they get home, they just want a moment of peace in a quiet home.
But I think
maybe a cocktail.
Yeah, and I think too, if you think about it, women have such an incredible share of responsibility. So like you mentioned, just like parents moving in, I have a father-in-law moving in, but I don't have kids in the home right now, but I still worry about them. But women are juggling a lot of balls.
They are.
And I think sometimes you look for sources to relieve that stress.
Yeah,
so I do understand.
Physical.
Yeah.
It's the emotional and the physical extra responsibilities.
Yeah. Now you can try and replace that with exercise, and that will help you a lot. Right. I think if you do, even if it's just a walk, you don't have to go, scrum and play rugby with people, but you can go for a walk and get some of that energy discharged in a more helpful way, I suppose. Tell us about yourself and what you do with Working Wednesdays, what that all does, and then you can tell us kind of how you grew into that. But what are you doing right now to help women find opportunities in space?
Well, so like I said, I started Women Wednesdays, and it has a variety of programs for women to engage in. So since we were just on the subject of walking, I will just mention, like, for Women Wednesdays, and I'll go in deeper detail about it, but we also just started a program called co-walking. So, and I'll come back to that. But for Women Wednesdays, the whole idea is to build a collaborative group of women so that we help each other succeed. So I know for myself, like I said, I started out as an entrepreneur working on SwellCoin, and there were some challenges. But I would say, some of the challenges were you don't have enough money if you're just starting out, and you don't have a team.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things can be offset by being in a collaborative group of women where you can tap into the talents and ideas and brain power of fellow women. So we started this program called Co-walking in addition to everything else we're doing, so that women can exercise, let off some steam, but also network. Because I think for any woman on a mission, you can't do it alone. You're going to need, if it's not money, you're going to need some sort of thing that brings you resources and information, and you're going to need other people. So you got to find them. I mean, I look at what you have here. You have this incredible team of women that, I'm sure working collaboratively and helping each other along to reach success.
Yeah. And who knows better what you're dealing with than another woman? Mm-hmm. I find that, Jimmy Basic, my law partner, who's a very empowered man, empowers women. He and I have a similar experience in having raised 3 girls. He's still doing it. I'm mine are adults, but Kimmy and Carrie, my other law partners, they're both raising 2 boys each, so I thought about that today. I wonder if there's some help to each other, because Carrie's boys are older than Kimmy's. Like, I hope that I am sometimes to Jimmy. It's just, you've got to rely on everything a person brings, to you, because you're not just having a work experience. You're not just having a home experience. You're having a life experience, and you've got, we talk about this a lot, but you got more resources than you think, but you need to touch them. One of the things I started this year, one of my 2021 goals is to nurture and grow my female friendships. And so I have a little thing in my phone. It's a note that I keep of all the women, like, oh, I need to reach her, and I'll put it on there, and I'll calendar it. So I'll do it, whatever your system needs to be. But those women are excellent resources. I mean, it's okay to have a male mentor. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're just not likely to be able to relate to anything other than what they're mentoring you on, not the entire holistic experience that you're having. So I love
Right.
the idea of a place where women can come collaborate. How does it work though? How does Women Wednesdays actually work?
Well, let me just throw this out there. If you think about it, men have had huge networks for developing businesses and all that stuff for thousands of
Yes.
years, So we need to fast track some of these sort of collaborative networks and these opportunities for women. But the way
Yeah.
Women Wednesdays work, we have 3 primary goals, and that's to develop collaboration, create a model that women are connected and can collaborate with each other, share knowledge, because you just got to tap into other people's knowledge, and then grow visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving me visibility today.
Right.
This is a big opportunity for me to talk about Women Wednesdays and what we're doing.
Yep.
So what I started Women Wednesdays out just as an initiative. So like I was at Domi Station. So let me give you a little background on what happened there. So I'm at Domi Station, and the community did a great thing. They started a community incubator and co-working space. But the primary focus of that space was to engage college students or just beyond college, and retain that talent for our community. And all the money, all the energy, everything was going in that direction. But guess who are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs?
Women.
Correct. And then what is their age?
I bet they're in their late 20s, early 30s.
They're actually closer to 40
Are
or
they?
50. Yeah.
So they're going to work a little bit first, and then they're going to do this.
Well, there's some reasons. You think as a woman, just say a very young woman, you're not going to have any, you're probably not going to have job. If you're starting an entrepreneurial effort, you're not going to have job security. You're not going to have health insurance. Those are things that are challenges for women. So like I said, when I was first at Domi, it's just a wonderful place with wonderful people working on it. But just all the energy was going towards, it felt like college students are just beyond college. So I tried to get a program for women there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no money. There was no mandate to do it. It just wasn't there. So I said, well, can I start a program for women? And so that's how Women Wednesday started, was just that. But then we started out with co-working, then we added in a speaker series.
Yeah,
And
I did the speaker series, I think.
Yeah, you came and spoke with us at Women Wednesdays at Domi Station. And that was very empowering.
Now,
and then we just keep adding to it. So now we in addition to the speaker series, we also, still have co-working when it's safe to be together. The co-walking program I mentioned, but we have Women's Words, where women can share their written word, or Going Places. Women can create their own networking events. You don't have to sit around and wait for a networking event, just create your own.
Yeah.
And then we have something called Tech Squad, which is free tech support. If you're sitting there working and you're stuck on a tech issue, you just go to womenwednesdays.com, our Tech Squad. We have volunteers that literally will just pick up the phone or do whatever, email you and just help you with any technical issue that you might be having.
Wow.
Wow. Well, think about it, because for them, it could lead to a job, to a contract. It's an opportunity for them to show somebody that they don't know what they do well and get a potential job opportunity in the future. So it's just
we also on that level, we also started an internship program,
Yeah.
So the internship program, again, most internships are focused on people, just in college or just beyond college.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason whatsoever that you can't have internships for women of all ages.
Absolutely.
So if I've been home raising my kids, which is the hardest job in the world, it just is. I mean, do we all agree that's the hardest job in the world?
Yeah.
So you've been home raising your kids and you're going back in the workforce, that might be a great opportunity to do an internship, whatever age.
That's brilliant.
But also, right. But also, if I'm a startup entrepreneur, I don't have very much money. I'm just, a small company. I may or may not be able to pay very much. I might offer an internship. So, again, Women Wednesdays is all, how do we tap into each other's potential?
Yeah.
And support each other and, celebrate each other's successes, because we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
I love it. Kimmy, do you have any questions or comments or thoughts about what Barbara's doing? My wheels are turning. She's got me so excited. I need a minute to think.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. First, I want some technical information. Where do you walk and what time do you walk on Wednesday?
So I'll tell you, our first co-working group. So Regina Farah, she's a personal trainer. And so she started our first co-working group. So this Tuesday at 10 o'clock, at Cascades Park at the amphitheater. She's starting a co-walking group.
Oh,
So
very cool.
what that will be is you will go there at 10 o'clock. There'll be a circle. Everybody do a little stretching. While you're stretching, you're going to introduce yourself and tell where if you're an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. So remember, an entrepreneur is someone that's starting a business or has a business, but an entrepreneur is an innovator in a workspace. They're already in a workspace. They're just an innovator there, or they might be starting an effort. But the idea with the co-walking, you get some basic introduction, but then you just like with volleyball, when you're playing volleyball, you go rotate. So the idea here is you start walking, you're outside, it's safe. There's, we've got COVID go on, so you got to be creative. But for me, I would rather walk and network and just kill two birds with one stone.
Well, I was gonna say, what woman isn't trying to multitask 24/7?
Multitask.
I mean, I'm
love
always
it.
trying to do something while I'm doing something else. That's perfect.
I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
if you think of leads group, there's a lot of leads groups, but there can be multiple. Like, we're just getting them online, but the goal is to have 10 or 20 different co-walking groups around town. Just go when you
That's
can,
wonderful.
when you feel
Love
like it.
that.
Barbara, you were talking about co-working. Is
Yeah.
that where you're sharing a space and doing different things in the same space? Tell us what co-working is.
Yes, so co-working, so that's at Domi Station, and other places have it too, like Laura, you were at the Pod, and so the Pod has co-working as well. But the idea behind co-working is you all are in an office space, and so you're together, and if you have a question, you can just turn and ask someone, hey, can you help me with whatever. But if you're an individual entrepreneur or nonprofit or woman on a mission, you may not have someone right next to you, but if you have a facility to go to, a place where you're still there working, you're working on your own business, but you're in that same room, you would be amazed how often you turn to the person next to you and say, I can't find this, I don't know how to do this thing on social media. And like, I'm telling you, it moves mountains sometimes when a person tells you one little thing that just helps you launch forward.
Oh yeah.
I know people don't understand what co-working is, but it just, and again, it's about being in a dynamic environment. So if you're co-working, there's different people all the time. So that's, again, it's dynamic. You're meeting different people.
And I think that's important, because if you're trying to start a business, you probably feel very alone. You probably feel all on your own, because you can't hire people, you can't afford it.
Right.
You want to spend all your time growing your business, but then you also have to do whatever it is your business is, practice law, cut
Right.
hair.
It's hard. It is
So
hard.
this is
Yeah.
a wonderful opportunity, because this is one thing that I think about, because I've asked people I asked women to pledge to only refer to other women, or at least make a real big effort to do it. And the reason why, and this is new for me, I've only been doing this for a few years, because I used to do what everybody else did, which is I want to put you with the best person. I want to put you with the person who's an expert in this, somebody who's done it the longest, whatever. But that's almost invariably going to be a man, because they got there first. They had contacts, they had fathers and brothers and people in the thing, and they knew people and that's how I got in. And most women, even if you have family, a lot of families don't prioritize the girl's success. It's like, these boys are going to have to be breadwinners, so we're going to have to build them up first. But most of the time it's a guy got there, and when they get there, they bring in their buddies from Kiwanis and Rotary and stuff like that. Women, they're sitting there raising kids, if they get to go to college, that's awesome. And then when they come out, it's like, I'm starting from nothing. I'm starting from scratch. So I tell people to try to, you're never going to catch up when you're always going to the person who's got the most experience, has been doing it the longest. You're just never going to, women are never going to catch up. So I want you to try to do that. But to make you feel comfortable referring to a woman who doesn't have as much experience or something like that, I say, you help her. You go find somebody who can help her. I know it's going out of your way. It's going to be more work than sending it to a man, but it improves your condition as well. Rising tide raises all boats. So I think it's something that's worth doing. And if you believe it or not, you can find people. I'll find somebody. I don't care if it's about building a high rise. When I got ready to remodel my home, I hired a woman architect. That was not easy to find. But
I'm glad you're saying that, because it also brings up something that I've said before too, which is, it's just a phrase I say, but it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes as a woman, we don't have blatant discrimination now, but you do have that
It's
softer
that, it's
stuff.
the opportunity cost of being.
Yeah, and it's like it still leaves you bleeding. Like if someone's just not answering your emails, or they don't give you that foot in the door, or they have bias, or just a lot of different things, it can still kill you.
Yeah.
It might just be a nick, but they can add up, and so that's the danger. So I think what you're saying, what you're doing, is really, really important.
Yeah, and you got to help these people succeed, because they're taking a greater risk than their male equivalents who are trying to start a building or a company or something like that. Women are very uncomfortable with risk naturally. I'm trying to get people to think differently about that, but that's how you get something. You got to be comfortable with risk. But I'm trying to make women more comfortable with it by saying, I'll have your back. I'm going to make sure you've got a collaboration, a place where you can go, a mentor, things like that to help them get there. So I appreciate you bringing up the importance of that, because you can feel very isolated and alone when you're trying to start anything new that you don't have any experience with. You're afraid to ask for help because it'll look like you don't know what you're doing, but that's the entirely wrong way to go about it. So if we could create a community where women help each other and we're not competing with each other, and every time you see one that needs help, they don't have to worry about, oh, she's not gonna like me, or she's gonna judge me. She's gonna help you. I want that to be everybody's assumption about other women.
Yeah, and then you have a long game. Sometimes you have a short game, but sometimes you have a long game.
Yeah.
And solving some of these issues or challenges for women can be a little bit longer game, but it's something, it's almost like a cultural change.
It is.
And you're working to change a culture. And one of the fastest ways to change culture is a numbers game. And it's numbers, it's getting more women, with a seat at the table. It'll change the culture. It just will. It's numbers. Get more women in more places, and it'll just happen.
Elizabeth, you are a college student, and you are a very serious young woman. Although you're delightful, I consider you very serious for your age. I love it. It's refreshing. But you're very, very goal oriented. You know what you want. As long as I've known you, you've been very goal oriented. Are you finding when you go out into the world, now you've worked here, and now you're going to go into another venture and work with an elected official, and that's a great opportunity for you. What are you finding at your age about, support for women, being included, doors open for women? Are you feeling like it's a hindrance to you? What's your gender experience?
I have noticed that I do get treated a little bit differently in the political realm. It's just, people want to come up and give me a hug whenever, if there's a guy next to me,
off women.
They want to shake their hand. I'm like, why can't you just shake my hand instead of give me a hug? Or if you're going to give me a hug, at least turn to the guy next to me and give him a hug. Like, you don't have to treat me differently because I'm a woman. I've also noticed that my work ethic, it has shown through. And I think that's allowed other people to realize, that I am taking this seriously, that I'm not just thinking, oh, I want to do this because I'm going to meet a bunch of people, or I want to do this because it pays good, or because it's fun, or anything like that. People see that I'm serious about it, that I want to work, I want to learn, and that any opportunity that I get, I take it and run with it. I don't just sit there and let it go by.
Yeah.
I do everything I can to jump in and get in the middle of just about anything possible, which that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes, but it's definitely been worth it. I haven't really had too many gender experiences. Just
you might get treated certain ways because of your relative, inexperience, your age. That may be something. Do you ever feel like people don't include you in a conversation? Like
people think I'm much older than I am. I'm only 20. People think that I'm 25, 26 sometimes, out of college. And when I tell them I'm in college, they're like, what? You're in college?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in college. But just because I'm in college doesn't change the fact that I do have opinions, I do have relevant information, and I do bring a lot to the table. So I just try to make sure that people see me because of my work ethic, not my gender, not my age. And I work a lot to try and put that out there. And I think people are able to see that. They are able to see that I'm different. That I don't think they see my gender or my age first. I think people see my personality and my work ethic first. And that's something that I pride myself in.
That's good, because that helps everybody else your age. That helps everybody your age, helps people my age. The better women are treated across the board. And I wonder this, you wouldn't know how the boys were that I grew up with, because you don't know them, they're your parents' age or maybe a little bit older. But I just wonder how things are now among your peers, how your male peers treat, their female counterparts.
Well, I definitely can see a difference, not necessarily with how the guys treat the girls, but just how the guys go about life versus how the girls go about life.
Yeah.
A lot of my girlfriends, they're scared. They don't want to do anything that's going to cause a potential risk or failure. They don't want to fail. Of course, no one wants to fail, but with every time you fail comes growth. So that's how I try to look at it. I don't want to fail. I never go out on a journey and say, yes, I'm going to fail at this. I go with every intention to succeed. But if I do fail, it's going to hurt a little bit, but pick back up and keep going 100%. Harder, and make sure that you don't let the same mistake happen twice.
Do you see people your age? Do you see the young women seeking careers, or is that kind of just a placeholder until they find the person they want to marry and start their family? What's kind of the orientation of the young women that you're around in terms of a career?
Mixture.
Yeah.
Some of my girlfriends have known what they wanted to do since they were young. They've known they wanted to go to college. And then some of my friends have said, no, I have this boy. We've been together since high school. Some of my friends have put off their schooling for a boy that they end up breaking up with. And
do you know any girls who've done that? I mean, do you know any boys who've done that?
I do not know any boys who have decided to stay home or put off their schooling or put off.
Has they dated a girl since high school? You don't see that, do you?
Never.
No.
I do know one guy who went to college because his girlfriend was going to college, but they ended up breaking up. So,
yeah, if I could put a memo in your yearbook, it would be, this is not the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
Exactly.
I know they don't believe me. But and there are people, everybody knows somebody's been together since high school. We could probably count 5 people, but of all the people that's a very small number. But I do want to point this out, though. I am not against women who choose a traditional life for themselves.
Me neither. I'm all about people being able to choose the path that they go down. And I don't think it's a bad thing to choose a traditional lifestyle, nor do I think it's a bad thing to choose a professional lifestyle. I think
you have to have your eyes open. I just want women who decide to be reliant on someone else to really understand their vulnerability long term, and really understand that a marriage is only romantic for a minute and then becomes a business relationship, and that there's a lot more to it. It will not always be flowers and romantic evenings and brand new babies. It'll be a lot of problems. So for me, what I hope for women is that life is a viable option for them, not their only option. That's what I want for them. Lori, what are your thoughts in engaging with Barbara and all the things she's saying today?
Well, I love what she's doing. So I was one that chose a traditional lifestyle. I stayed at home with my kids for about 10 years. And during that time, I had fun teaching myself a lot of skills. So that was something, when you were talking earlier, when you're coming out of that and your kids are going to school to do an internship, I kind of did some similar things like that. And that really helped me. Once the kids started getting older, I was able to kind of learn some new skills, and I taught myself all sorts of things. I taught myself bookkeeping and payroll, and then I ended up doing it for several different people. And but what I really like is the co-working, and how you mentioned you go into a co-working environment and you can talk to somebody. And I saw that all the time at the pod too. And what's different about going to a coffee shop, and that is you kind of almost become a family there, and you talk and you do things. And more and more I'm seeing women do this, and I love it. I didn't have that whenever I was going through all that. So I think it's very valuable what you're doing.
That turned me on more than anything. This your internship for non-college, like for grown-ups, that is innovative. Yes. That is a game changer in my view. Go ahead.
I think so too. But I do have a question about the co-working. Is that something that college students, like my age people, could go and do homework at, or how does that work?
So a lot of people don't realize this, but we have community co-working space. This is in partnership with Leon County and the Office of Economic Vitality. So in Tallahassee at 914 Rural Square Ave is Domi Station. And, you know, it's a struggle right now with the pandemic, but hopefully we're coming through that a little bit. But there is co-working there, and there's some specific placing for students and programming for students. So students should definitely get engaged and get involved there.
Well, I would definitely spread that to other people.
Elizabeth, I know a lot of people start their places down at Domi who just had ideas. People right out of college just had ideas.
I mean, one thing I think is really important for people to know is this community wants to see you succeed. Like, I know every woman here that's, you know, at Facing Brooks, they want to see other women succeed. We all do. And I think that's true for even our city and county government or Domi Station. I would recommend to women, you know, get on the radar. Whatever it is you're doing, get on the radar. So I noticed like the Office of Economic Vitality is putting out these posts all month about different women in the community. I mean, that they have quite a reach. If you make yourself, you know, make these different organizations across the community aware of you, you will probably get some recognition and people just wanting to see you succeed. So I think a big thing is just getting out there, getting visible, and start learning and start doing it. If you're really trying, I know someone will help you.
I know that's true because I know people, this seminar we were on, people were talking about looking for employees, and believe it or not, it's not easy to hire people right now. I think it's because a lot of women left the workplace and they don't know if it's time to come back yet because we don't know, you know, you don't know. So believe it or not, it's not that easy. And so think about the advantage you would have if someone's running into you down at Domi, seeing your work ethic, seeing your, you know, sweat equity, your go-getterness. I mean, you're the first person I'm going to snag up if I'm looking for somebody.
Right. And that's all about being in that dynamic environment. So I know a lot of people think about, oh, I've got to get a mentor. And it's great. Have a mentor. That's wonderful. But that's a power of one. A mentor, you know, unless you have a lot of mentors. But that's a power of one.
Yeah.
But if you think of being collaborative and just being dynamic and connecting with a lot of people, that's a power of many.
I love it.
Having that input from many, many people. Remember, one mentor can give you really terrible advice. That's why it's true. And that's why it's kind of good to have a mindset to be collaborative, be in a co-working space, be with a lot of different people, hear what a lot of different people have to say. You just learn more in it.
Yeah.
It's all the rage out west. I mean, there's
Carrie.
Even law firms are having collaborative workspaces out west. It's not really happening on the East Coast yet, surprisingly. Well, the East Coast is a little bit more old school, I think, than the West Coast. But I know a lot of law firms that have gone to a collab approach out west, and it even makes their teams and their lawyers and much more cohesive and team oriented. And even we at Facing Brooks, we have a small collaborative area too that Dana and Jimmy purposefully designed in our law firm so that we would have a lot more togetherness and space, and we use it and it works. You know, I mean, we spend a lot of time there and it helps. So I think even if there's any employers that are watching this, they do that within their own office space, create a collaborative area for people.
Yeah.
And have a great big whiteboard, have a great big dry erase whiteboard, because it's amazing what you can do if you get people together and you start just putting down ideas, throwing spaghetti up there, seeing what's sticking, not literally spaghetti, but I mean, just brainstorming, getting ideas out of your head and seeing what you come up with.
Well, I think it's so interesting what we were talking about earlier with women versus men. You know, a lot of men that I know are 6th, 7th generation college graduates. You know, they can easily get into a business. They have fraternity brothers all around the country.
Dad was on this board. Mom knows these people, all that.
Or they played football with so-and-so in high school. Or they played, tennis in college or whatever. And for most women, myself included, I know Lori included, Dana included. I don't know about you, Elizabeth, but we're all first generation collegiate, college graduates.
That's going to be me. And
yes, ma'am.
I have definitely noticed that with my guy friends. They're like, oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to get this job here. I'm like, where are you pulling all these people from? Yeah. How are you getting all this?
Being a guy is already
having to work my tail off to get recognition.
That's why I want women to give it to other women. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why when you go to women, like our firm uses a women only like lending group when people need financing for their litigation or whatever, loans against their settlements. And I go to them because I know that they are hungry and that they are customer service oriented. And I think most women, like everybody in this group who's a first time college graduate in their family, is hungry.
Yeah.
And you can't find that in very many people, but you can find that in most women who have started a business or who have, furthered themselves in some way. And you just don't find that, I think, frequently. So that's one of the reasons I like using women as much as possible, because they're hungry, they're customer service oriented, and they're just driven. They're just.
Well, I think
there
that
are
women
some
are.
clicks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I was going to say there's some cliques in town. There's some male cliques in town where if they had an idea, we're going to build something, whatever, they just, the skids would be greased. There's ways that they can just propel forward. And I hope that someday we have that for women. So when you do have something that is really, valuable to the community or a great thing to do, that you have that kind of wind at your back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need some wind at your back.
Yeah, you do. Elizabeth, what were you saying?
I was going to say that the reason I think a lot of my girlfriends are scared to take risks is because they don't have those connections that my guy friends do. Their parents don't have those connections that my guy friends do. And so I definitely see how, building women up and forming a group together is very beneficial, because the more people you know, the further you can run.
Yeah, and if you were raised in a traditional home, even if you don't even think you were, maybe women worked outside, if you'll notice, there's these subtle messages you get inside the home that tells a lot of girls your success isn't quite as important as your brother's. Things like, oh, your dad needs to do your science fair project with you. It says daddy's smarter than mommy. Or, we need to hang that picture or whatever. We'll wait till dad gets home. Dad's more competent than mommy. And so when little girls and little boys grow up and they see this behavior in the home that is informed by traditional senses of roles, they adopt that. And when little girls and boys look and they see that everybody who makes important decisions is a man, and the women are there just kind of window dressing, they're not really, nobody cares what they say, they don't ask them. They grow up with lower gender self-esteem. Yeah. And whenever you grow up thinking that your contributions aren't as important because you're not going to be financing a family, and when you grow up thinking you're not as competent because you lost the gender lotto, that informs your risk-taking, nature. Why would you take a risk? You weren't told nothing. None of the messaging you got said that you were going to nail it. It said you probably need somebody to take care of you. Boys are taught to take care of your sister, watch your sister, take care of your mom now. If a dad dies, what do they tell the boy? Take care of your mother.
Man of the house.
You're the man of the house now. Like that woman's not a competent adult. That's crazy.
That happens still right now, though. I mean, I'm a lawyer and I'm married to a lawyer. I don't know if this happens to you, Kimmy, because you're married to a lawyer also, but I have family members and friends who are related to me, are friends with me, and they will call my husband.
Oh, your husband. Happened to me when I was married to a lawyer.
Which is kind of fine because, it takes a lot of time to get free.
Yeah, I don't want to do free legal work.
Right. But it's so funny. I'm like, I'm actually related to you and I'm a lawyer too, but I don't mind it. The other
my own family called my ex-husband when they needed legal work.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. Hey, that's
fine. Fine. but still, it's very insulting.
Yeah, it's funny. And the other thing that happens to me all the time, I don't know. I have a male paralegal in my office. It's almost like I'm a female doctor with a male nurse.
You are.
They're like 75% of the people that I deal with in business call him Esquire and act like I'm the case manager.
They think she's his paralegal.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's how gendered is, but I'll tell you this, let's own it.
That is absolutely shocking to me.
Like, I do it. I will make assumptions.
Let me tell you, as a single, I'm sorry,
Carrie. Go ahead, Lori. Okay.
Well, as a single mom, I pride myself on fixing everything in my house. I fixed my microwave, my lawnmower, all this kind of stuff. I love learning about it and doing it. And when I go to the hardware store with my I have 3 boys, but 2 of them tower over me. And I ask questions, they immediately start talking to my kids. I'm like, no, here, I'm fixing the microwave. I need this part, and they're like, oh, you're the man of the house, huh? You got to do this. And it is infuriating. But
I hope you don't take it. This is one thing I'm asking women to do.
My kids don't take it. My kids are like, no, mom's, yeah, they're totally empowered with it. They're like, no, mom's got this.
I call that a gentle teaching moment, because you can be a little too, but sometimes if you just will stop someone or call attention to it, I'm not saying wrap it in sunshine, but don't eat them alive either, because most of the time it's coming from ignorance and a lack of intent. It's just habit, it's assumptions. And if you don't correct and stop the assumptions, you're going to have more of it. So when you just roll your eyes and wait till you get back to your girlfriend and bitch about it to her, you're not helping. You're not helping yourself or anybody else. You need to take a moment, to stop. There was a presentation today this woman was on, and this woman is killing it. She's killing it in her field. She's all that. But she made a comment that was very derogatory about women. Just women do that. Just like talking about how catty we are, we're small. She goes, you think women are bad? Try to throw a party for a bunch of bikers. And it was a pejorative thing. I said, whoa, stop. I stopped her presentation, the whole presentation, said, don't insult your gender. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because if you do it, they'll do it. I mean, just don't ever do that. Everybody paid attention to that. That stuck in their head. And it was just a comment, just one comment. But I asked people to don't let things like that go. Don't roll your eyes and let it go, because you keep accepting it. They keep seeing it as normal. We're never going to break this pattern if you don't say, when you say that, this is what happens. And that's a bad thing. And would you consider this? It doesn't have to be you don't have to go hard at them, but I really do ask people to stop and don't take it. And don't let it happen to other people. I'm kind of a big personality. And so when I'm in a group, I get a lot of attention. But when I see other women not, I find a way to bring them into it. You want to talk about this, Frank, you need to really meet Elizabeth. She's all over this. You'll love to hear what she has to say. Elizabeth, tell them about da-da-da-da-da. It's tedious. It's a lot of work. When I go to a networking event, I come back and I'm just like a prize fighter. I'm exhausted because I've worked that room. I have done this. So what? I committed myself to that. It improves my condition, improves everybody else's too. Kimmy, as we're talking and you're thinking about your experience coming up as a woman in law school, I know that one jerk professor, whatever, but I mean, are you seeing an improvement in that and more opportunities for women in business, or what's your women in business experience been?
Well, how's
it changed?
Ever since I got out of law school, I've been here. So I've been here going on 9 years now, which is I feel like I've had an experience that's different than most people because it is majority women owned, which is wonderful. But what you referenced, for viewers that didn't see that episode, I had a law school professor tell me that I needed to stop speaking like a silly law school girl. And it killed me because it was just my natural way of speaking, and I thought it was so offensive.
A silly law school girl. Do you think he ever used the term a silly law school boy to anybody?
Never. But you know what? The thing, I was defeated, but I wasn't, I don't know that I felt like I had the right to be so mad at him. Now thinking back, now that I'm old, a decade older and wiser, now I'm like, I would have never, this Kimmy would never take that comment, but that Kimmy, and probably a lot of women at that age range in law school.
Absolutely.
I'm not who I was 10 years ago. I promise you that.
Well, it's awkward. It's awkward. You don't know if you should laugh it off or you should bow up against it, or, it's weird. It's just, they put us in an awkward place when they do things like that.
I tell you why I don't get mad about it, because I think, who are you to give me this job? You just laid another job on me. I have my schedule full. I got all kinds of stuff to do. And you gave me the job of having to take your abuse or ruminate about it and ruin my damn day, or talk back to you and correct you. So it fires me up, because I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend the rest of my day pissed off that I didn't tell you to go to hell. I'm going to tell you to go to hell right now. And I'm going to do it in a way that I hope you remember it and learn from it. Because otherwise, what do I get for ruminating over it? It just ruins my day. And he got away with it. And he's going off to play golf. Screw him.
Yeah. And I let someone get away with something like that. Kimmy, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go. You go ahead.
I had that happen too. I mean, just for me on my startup, Swellcoin, someone pretty important said to me, you should have a young guy be the face of your company. That I should just sink into the background and and just find this young man to be the head of it. But those, there's a lot of things. That's why I want to be careful. I don't want to always just focus on the challenges, because there's so much power in being together. But there are some challenges. But I was fuming, and I mean, I know steam was coming out of my ear.
Yeah.
But I walked away just, fuming.
Yeah.
But
And you
I
think about
didn't
it all the,
confront that person.
yeah. I read a couple of instances of that. Some people were snarky, some little shitty things they said on Facebook, but I was like, no, I'm not letting it go. I'm not. And honestly, I love the use of social media. You talk about advantages we have. Online, if you can be tough enough to get a presence online, and I do mean tough, because if you say anything remotely controversial, share an opinion, they will come for you. You know how it is. If you want to develop thick skin, start posting and blogging about anything and be a woman. You'll get pretty thick skin in about a month. But yeah, I used to let it go. And now I'm like, no, I'll talk about it. But this is the thing. This is a good thing about social media. If you have enough people, you do enough good, you'll have surrogates that will come and fight your battles for you. So now whenever somebody comes at me, I'll say my remark to it. And next thing you know, people are excoriating in them. I can't believe you talked to her like that. Who are you? Whatever. And I'm just sitting back like, God.
You know what? If you raise your children right, they'll do it too, because my boys didn't take it. I didn't even have to say anything to them at the hardware store. My kids were like,
they're highly attuned.
Like, what? And they're like, no, Mom, so we're bringing up the new generation, and I've got a boyfriend now that would say the same thing. No, that's all her. So
yeah.
Get some empowered men.
Get empowered men around you, and make sure that the children, you and Kimmy and Carrie, you're raising the next generation of people in an environment. I think it's going to be different from them. I think it's going to be abruptly different from them than it was for their parents and all of them before, because there are a lot of good things going on for women. And like I said, this sea change, this is not a blip. I was looking today at an article in the paper about something that had happened at the university, and there was a sexual harassment complaint against a professor, and one of the universities let him go. Well, he resigned, and so they didn't keep going because they don't have any power over him to discipline him. But a lot of people thought that was not a good way, that needed to be brought to light and stuff. So I was thinking back when I first moved to this town, there was a big brouhaha at the FSU College of Law, and a lot of women professors left. There was a lot of leches there, and they all left. And then that was supposed to prompt some big sea change in the university. And it was all attention getting, and everybody was talking about it. It's all you could hear about at the time. This is in the early 90s. And then back to normal. Back to normal. Just like all the, you used to hear about the people who molest people and rape the famous people, but it would be a big brouhaha and then nothing. But this whole Me Too thing, that really started a swell. And then people just got fed up. And then COVID was one more burden on top of women. And I think there's just a momentum now that is not going to turn back, where women's like, I insist on equality. I insist on you get out of my way. I will not defer to you for no other reason than your gender. That's another pledge I ask women to make. Please don't ever give deference to a man for no other reason than his gender. He did not earn that.
Right.
Okay, it is an unearned privilege.
Yeah.
So don't show deference to it, or you're going to stay in this position the rest of your life.
And I think what's happening now too is we're getting it from the top down. And I'm not saying anything political, but you see more women appointed by this administration than you've seen by any other administration. Women of color, women of ethnicity, and that is
disability.
Yeah.
See, people forget women with disabilities or anybody with disabilities. Those are human beings. They matter.
Yeah.
But the more representation you have, the more you look up and see it, the more everybody gets treated different. And for years, I was caught up on wanting people who were philosophically aligned with me. And I do want that. But if I can't have that, and I will never always get that, I would at least like to look up and see equal representation. That will, honest to God, inform the way women are treated across the board. You shouldn't have to be some standout human female to be taken seriously. There should just be as many women in these roles as boys and men. There should be, and we got to get comfortable with men taking a stay-at-home dad role, things like that. I struggle with that. I own it, because I look at it like, you got every privilege in the world going to you. Why aren't you making $1 million? But that's not his obligation. He gets a choice. Shouldn't his dreams matter? Maybe he had a dream of a family.
Absolutely. Whatever is best for the family and whatever is best for the individual, man or woman, if it means staying home, if it means working, whatever,
Yeah. And if you want to be in a relationship, fine. If you don't want to be in a relationship, fine. But I had to struggle with my very rigid gender roles for men. Barbara, I do want to talk though about the good stuff and including your swell coin. Tell us what you were talking about with that.
Yeah, so look, just look at what's happening. So most sales are going online and community businesses are suffering. So I had an idea to make a cashback program so that you could earn cashback shopping local. So that's what SwellCoin is. And it makes it so any city can launch a local initiative where you earn cashback. So the initiative here is Shop Tally, but it just makes it easier for businesses. And we partnered that technology with Experian, which I don't know if you know Experian, that's a really international company, with the top of the fintech industry, so that people could just link their cards and they can earn cash back at any participating business.
Wow, that's great. Because you're promoting local, that company is getting something out of it because you're using their card and everything. And the businesses, of course, would embrace it. How do you promote that and how are you growing that?
Well, so think of it this way too, though. So everybody's probably seen buy local initiatives. It's just, but it's done in a very old school way. They're just sort of like feel good campaigns.
Yeah.
Hey, shop local. So what we were trying to do with SwellCoin is just make it so it monetized it and incentivized it. So you had, because every big company, you look at all the big companies or you look at Amazon, you're getting cash back. There are all these ways that you are getting incentivized, whether Rakuten, Ebates, all that sort of stuff. You are getting incentivized in a multitude of ways to shop anywhere but here.
Yeah.
Anywhere but in your community.
Yeah.
And I felt that there needed to be some sort of way to incentivize shopping where you live. And that's why I developed SwellCoin and just incredible technology. But to be honest with you, I had challenges, some of the challenges we talked about, getting that off the ground. It's a heavy lift.
Could you not get local vendors behind it, or could you not get local city leaders behind it? Or
so one the things for me, this to be a tech startup, and particularly a fintech startup, it requires a significant amount of resources. So I needed to get buy-in from this community, from a leadership level, to do a local initiative. And that's where I face some challenges, getting the buy-in from, our city, our county, and our leadership to, to
we got some new commissioners. We got some women.
Yeah, I mean, it just like it takes money.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of money to do these things, and it takes team power. It takes a lot of things. I mean, it's something I've been working on, but I've more of late put a lot more energy into Women Wednesdays and building that. I've had it's.
And now how do you make money off that? Now that's a membership model, right?
That's a membership model, but so it's a membership model. People can join to become members, and that's all new. I've done Women Wednesdays just out of my heart for all these years, but I do want to make it a sustainable model. So it has a membership model, but it also has a sponsorship model. So like the Office of Economic Vitality is now a sponsor of Women Wednesdays, as is Capital City Chamber, and then some other organization. So it's just sort of a combination of membership and sponsorship. And we're just looking for ways to grow that, but it's a scalable model.
How much is it, Barbara?
We're building. Go ahead. Sorry, Carrie.
How much is it, Barbara? And where do people join it?
Yep, it's just $69 a year or $7 a month. You just go to womenwednesdays.com, click become a member. Simple.
Now you have tell us about
Laura's
the benefits, because tell us about the benefits of the membership, and then tell us about, don't you do an don't you do a Zoom Wednesday?
Right, so every single Wednesday at 1:00, we have a speaker series. So anybody that's a member can sign up to be a speaker, but we also have co-host slots. So you can sign on to be a co-host. Why would you be a co-host? It's visibility.
Yeah.
Get yourself in front of people. So, for us, for speakers, or whether you're writing, get your writing out there in public, get networking events, collaborate with other women. The whole idea behind Women Wednesdays, if you're trying to do something and you got to tap in the potential of other people. I mean, unless you're lucky, you might be a woman that's lucky. You've got great connections. You've got a ton of money. Everything's lining up for you. Fantastic. But if you need some help and you're just I'm telling you, it's very hard to do anything alone. It is hard. So this is the whole thing with this, is to tap in with other people. And we have a lot of different ways to help you connect and collaborate. You don't have to go it alone. You're going to find people to help you.
I just
I
want
love
to say I'm going through the website right now, and it's awesome. You can go to the directory and there's a picture of the members and then the title of what they do. So I'm just scrolling through
What a
going, oh,
resource.
I know her. Oh,
Yeah.
she runs that shop. I didn't know that was woman run. Like just going through this directory is really fun.
Right, and then the other thing,
That's
if you
so
look
great
at
because
that,
that
Kimmy,
you can frequent them.
well, the other thing is every single link to that woman that she wants to put in there. So if she has Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube channel, LinkedIn, whatever it is, her website. So just all in one spot, you find a woman, bing, 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 you know exactly how to connect with that woman and learn about that woman, but then collaborate with that woman.
That's
So like
great.
we have
That's
some
what
women
you do.
right now, we're building a collaborative network. There's some women that have been in a traditional workplace working for the state, but they're taking their knowledge and skills and they're launching into their own, business.
Mhm.
But they want to be with other women who are doing the same thing. So we're building that collaborative network.
They need to be supported. They need to be supported in that very, very scary,
Right, but
step.
again, like I want to Uberize networking and connecting. It doesn't have to be a centralized thing. Like just if you think of Uber, and it just decentralized it. Anybody can
Right, get on your app, find
get
the
on your app, your driver, but the same thing with networking and connecting with women. We need to Uberize that. We need to put technology in play so people can create what it is they need to support them to move forward.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm telling you, if you just go back to that thing of thinking about, if I get a mentor, that's a power of one, that's one person's mind power. But if I'm in a collaborative network where people all want to help and see each other succeed, that's a lot of mind power and connections. And that's what you want to tap into.
Yeah, Elizabeth, listen to that. I'm Elizabeth's
I-
mentor and I do not want her only listening to me.
Oh, I listen to a bunch of people. I am always seeking out advice from a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Dana,
so
you do
I-
always give me great advice.
Yeah,
Well,
well, it's
listen to
just
this.
one perspective though. It's just one perspective.
Listen to Guy Kawasaki. So this is one of the founders of Apple, and you can Google it. You can see him talk about this. But he always says there's naysayers out there. Do not listen to naysayers. Just don't listen to naysayers. But there's one naysayer that's more dangerous than any other naysayer. They're just the most dangerous naysayer. Who is that most dangerous naysayer?
Myself.
Yourself.
This girl.
No, you
Oh,
think it's
who?
yourself. You know who
Really?
that most dangerous naysayer is? That most dangerous naysayer is some really important person that you've elevated. And
Yeah,
so
you
there's
give them more
no-
power and status than you
Give them way
should.
too
And then
much
they
power.
carry more weight. But again, you gave it to them.
You gave it to them, and it's just someone that you think they're so important, and
Yeah.
they can say one little thing. That
That
they're
is
one
true.
person.
That is true. And they could
Don't
just be
base
having a
things on
bad
one
day.
person.
Yeah,
What's
and
that?
they could just be having a bad day. How many
I
times have
fight
you
the
just
naysayers.
yeah, how many times have you just said something to somebody, just you're not on your game, and then they internalize it, and you go, oh my God, I hope they didn't, make more of that than they should have. You got to watch your language because you never know how much power somebody else has given it because you don't know the power they've given you.
True.
So
Right. And
I
then-
think that's a responsibility.
In the, like for me, like okay, who do you listen to? So
I don't
to me,
listen to anybody.
right, but you listen to people
Nobody can tell me nothing.
who take the time to really understand what it is
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Because people will throw out advice, they really don't understand all the complexities of what you're doing, and it can be complex, and it requires some understanding. So I'm thinking, like the people who I listen to, I try to listen to a wide array because then I get perspective. But then it's also someone who takes the time to fully understand what I'm doing, because otherwise it's just human nature. You throw out stuff,
Mhm. Yeah.
So you
I
gotta be careful with
have a
that.
comment. By the time I do this EmPower Hour, nobody will read my book because I've covered all my stories. But here's one. I was married to a lawyer for 20 years. He's a brilliant man. I thought he was the most smartest man I ever met in my life. When I met him, I had an AS degree. When we got divorced, I had a law degree and owned a law firm. But the point is, I came up under him. I worked for him. He was, I was a paralegal. He was a lawyer, and he was a medical malpractice lawyer, and he knew all this medicine and all this. I just thought, oh my God, he's the smartest guy, graduated first in his class. But everything he did, I thought that was the only way to do it. If he ran a law firm that way, I thought that's how law firms should be run. If he tried a case that way, even though it didn't feel right to me, like his style never felt right to me because I got a whole different energy, a whole different vibe, but I emulated him. because I mean, I didn't know. I didn't have that. I didn't have a lot of women lawyers saying, come on, let me mentor you, girl. So I thought I'll go with the one in my house. That seems efficient. But until I got away and got into another firm, the best thing I ever did in my life was not go to work for them. But I got into another environment and I'm like, oh, that's not the way. That's your way. But that is not the way. And it's certainly not the only way. And so you're right about that. You give a lot of weight and value to people's opinions, and you do let them inform your life, but that is your choice. You don't have to do it. And as you get older, and Elizabeth, especially with you, there's a lot of big deal people that you're meeting and coming into contact with. You're going to see that they have feet of clay. That will start happening. And I want you to prepare yourself for it, because they are mortal and they are going to let you down. And especially the more powerful people are, their falls are pretty big, because that ego gets way out of control. But yeah, that is an important thing. Remember who you let get in your head. Before we leave though, before we close tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, like you said, a lot of women don't start businesses because they can't do without that health insurance. A lot of them are primary earners in their homes, and they can't take risks because they got children. You know, who leaves kids? You always talk about men being providers, but who leaves their kids? Not many women. But men will leave. And so women know, if they have kids, I got to make sure they eat and they have clothing and shelter the rest of my life, whatever it is. So yeah, they're not going to take risks. They need health insurance. They need time off. They need everything, because what's the first thing that happens when a kid's sick? Mama's got to take them. You know, who's making play dates? Who's doing this? Mama. But a lot of these women, I met these women last night at an event at the Edison, and it was primarily African-American women, something Terrence Barber puts together. It's called
Working Class Wednesday.
Working Class Wednesday. So I go there last night and I'm going around and I'm talking to all these women at their booths, and I'm seeing their products. And so I get their cards and their collateral, because I wanted to blow them all up on social, today. And hardly any of them had a Facebook. Some they had web pages, but most of them were on Instagram. The way they use social, the way they're getting their message out to their consumers, they're very savvy. And a lot of them, this is their side gig. They're not ready to take the dive. They can't do it yet, but they've turned their passion into a side gig. So I want to encourage women to collaborate, use your resources, use every resource out there, find yourself mentors, do it all, because that's the greatest success. Don't pick one path. The greatest success is to have a lot of options that will help you. But don't forget, you don't have to start out as a CEO of a company, $1 million company made. You can start out small. I met
a gig. I agree with that. Totally. Don't give up your day job. It's very risky.
But don't give up your dream either.
Yeah, or your dream, but yeah, a side gig. Yeah, do it as a side gig, and then you transition. Once that takes off, then you can transition away from something else. But a side gig is great. And you're talking about Working Class Wednesdays. People should know about that. It's a great opportunity to network. And you also mentioned, Black women are. We talked about women being the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. Black women are the absolute fastest, growing at a rate of 322% or higher, 6 times faster than any other startup group.
Yeah, they are.
So, stand up.
You know what? And I have to believe it's just because when you're used to doing everything, you do everything. And I think they look at this as, a way to monetize something they're interested in a lot of times, but they're very serious about it. I'm talking to these women, they got business plans, they have a passion that is informing what they're doing. So that's a good group. Your Women Wednesdays, all about it. Everybody, I'm trying to build up the membership of the EmPower plant. We just got to 2,000 members today. So yay. I beat my goal. Jimmy's going to be so happy of me because I had a goal. I'm not really a goal person. And I met it, 6 days fast?
That's awesome.
He's gonna acknowledge this. It's gonna be him. He'll be celebrating me meeting a goal. But no, I really appreciate it. It's everybody's help. It's people like you, Barbara Wescott from Working Wednesdays, coming. Women's Wednesdays, working on Women on Wednesdays. Something happens on Wednesdays with women and working. But no, you know what I mean? Everything you guys are doing is making this community better, and we are making stronger women and stronger young women, and we're making more empowered and equitable men. So I
Right,
want
and
to
we're
thank
also
you.
building what I hope will be a #1 city for women. There is no
love that.
reason there's no reason whatsoever why Tallahassee literally can't be a #1 city for women. It's good to have, like you said about goals, reaching a goal. I think we should reach the goal that we're the top city for women, and we
Love
can
that.
do it.
Who determines that? Is that really something that is
Yeah, there is. There's
a
a
thing?
lot of data and statistics that determine those sort of things. So
Well, what
Okay,
is the
let's do
top
it.
city
amount of
right
women-owned
now?
businesses and different things like that. You know, the
Does
economy.
anybody know
Yeah,
what
we'll
the
do
top
it.
city now is?
Top
for
city
women?
now, what is it? Do you know?
I'm not sure what the top city is, but that's a great question. I'll have to
Let's
that
find out, because
looking at
Barbara
it.
Wescott and I just made a pact.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It says there's like 10 of them.
Mhm.
Let's see, Charlotte, North Carolina, Washington, DC. This is for working women. DC, Seattle, San Fran, Denver, Hartford, Connecticut, Sacramento, California, Minneapolis, Baltimore, Boston, and Portland.
Well, they're all
Right,
big
but
city centers. You know, they're big
No, it
city
doesn't
centers.
matter. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about big. It just
Yeah.
we can beat those statistics, but a lot of it is a belief. Just believe it and say it. You know,
Yeah.
we've known someone else who just says things to make them happen. I mean, let's just say it over and over. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
Just decide.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Barbara. Does anybody have
Thank
any
you.
closing remarks as we go around, Lori?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it, Barbara. I love what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about you, Carrie?
Well, I saw Lori's a member and I wrote down a note on my sticky note that I'd like to be a member.
Cool.
I'm learning so much from this today about, Women Wednesdays and working Women Wednesdays. And I definitely want to join. I'd love for us to start a co-walking group out here in Southwood, because there's so many people we work with already. We usually just walk and drink wine, but now we can walk, drink wine, and network.
I love it.
Wine in the
Those
water
are
bottle.
Multitasking.
I wish we had something like this when I was in college or getting out of college. I started a women's law group at University of Miami when I was in law school there, and it went really well, but it was hard to transition into the working environment from the law school environment. And there's just, at the time in 99, when I started working out of law school, there were so few women that were staying in the practice of law and that were
You're right.
So it's really nice that we have this, obviously for multiple different types of professions,
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's a Women Wednesdays FSU, so
Cool.
that
Okay.
exists as well, and it's getting off the ground. So.
I love it. What about you, Elizabeth? What are your closing thoughts today?
I actually have the website pulled up right now, and as soon as we get done, I'm becoming a member because I'm super excited about the mission that you're on. And I think there are amazing resources through Women Wednesday. I've just been looking through the website a little bit. And for someone like me who's coming up, I want to know these people. I want to build these relationships and make these connections. And I think that's what Women Wednesday is all about.
Right.
So,
I hope you all join, because we got you. We're good.
Yeah. Well, think about networking. If you have a career in politics, that's what started me with all the public speaking and getting out networking, because I thought that's where I was headed for. Because you can't do it on your resources and your network.
Oh, absolutely
You got to
not.
tap into a million other
Everything.
There
Yes.
you go. I love it. Kimmy, what are your final thoughts today?
Thank you so much, Barbara. I'm excited about it. It's good to talk about the importance of networking, because when I was in college, when I was in law school, I just wasn't focused on that. I was focused on the schooling, but not making the connections. And so I feel like if I'd had this talk back then, I would have been more in tune to creating those connections. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and thank you for coming on and talking with us about it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I love this. I've been wanting to get you on. I've been wanting to talk about what you're doing. I hope you'll come back and join us again. I appreciate your posting on the EmPower plant.
Thank you. I love it. I mean, you've got such an incredible following, and it's honestly, it's helped Women Wednesdays a lot.
Good.
So what you're doing is impacting a lot of women, but it's impacting people like me who are also trying to reach people. So
that's the thing. Tentacles, capillaries. Just put it out there.
We'll do it together.
All right, y'all. This has been a great one. I want to thank everybody on our panel. Thank you, Barbara Wescott, once again for joining us. We're going to be back next Thursday at 4:30 on Facebook Live on the EmPower Plant for another episode of the EmPower Hour by Facing Brooks. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.